We need a great reset.
Learn to use the dark side of the Force.
Davos 2022 is back in action in person, Basil.
I can't believe can't believe it's already happened. It seems like just yesterday they were having Davos.
Yeah, so we haven't heard too much from the actual events or meetings and stuff yet. I'm sure we'll hear more as things come out. But the campaign to make the World Economic Forum seem like the greatest institution in the world was out in full force over the weekend. And I want to just start out real quick with this book review that was done on thepoint.gm. And the title of the review is The Fourth Industrial Revolution by Klaus Schwab. And
they're just now reviewing it?
Well,
it's an old book now.
It is a real old book, but this is whatever. Okay. And it was done by, who's the person who did this? The author here. Oh,
Bruce Lee.
Maybe Bruce Lee. Reviewed by Andrea Bandelli. The Fourth Industrial Revolution is driven by the unprecedented level of developments in material sciences, digital technology, and biology. To name only a few, 3D printing, robotics, AI, and the Internet of Things, and research in neuroscience, and revolutionizing not only industrial processes, but also ourselves as human beings and as a society.
Yeah.
And he really buys in. I'm not going to read the whole thing here. I got a couple highlighted sentences / paragraphs. In this book, remember this is a book review, Schwab draws from Davos and the work of the World Economic Forum and argues that we need to create new narratives to guide us through the Fourth Industrial Revolution. The technologies that enable this revolution can and will completely change how we work, how we communicate, and how we live together. But their impact depends on how we design their development and how a diverse set of individuals and communities are empowered to master these possibilities rather than fear them. And then at the very end, I love this right here, the very last sentence / paragraph in the article review here. The book here is a treasure trove of good data, unique insights, and a powerful vision for humanity. The final chapter contains a beautiful quote by R.M. Rilke, right? Rilke. Quote, "The future enters into us in order to transform itself in us long before it happens." End quote. If you want the future to enter into you, this book might very well be what you need to read. Basil, do you want the future to enter into you?
Is that a translation error or something? What the heck does that mean?
I don't think so. Well, there's a direct quote here, so I don't think this is a translation error.
Stay out of me, future.
If you want the future to enter you, then you must read this book.
It's almost like if you want your genetic modification or you want your cybernetic enhancements or something.
Well, yeah, and it's interesting because, again, like you mentioned, they're kind of late to the game here. And, if you have a full-rounded view on what Klaus Schwab has published, you'd be more concerned about this. Page 87 of COVID-19, The Great Reset, the book. Let's see. Let me just show it so people that are watching know that this is the actual PDF of COVID-19, The Great Reset. And you go to page 87, and at the bottom here, let me just find the quote. In a segment that's talking about we got to avoid a dystopia kind of thing. It says that quote. Let's see. Will COVID-19 result in people withdrawing into themselves, or will it nourish their innate sense of empathy and collaboration, encouraging them towards greater solidarity? The examples of previous pandemics are not very encouraging, but this time there is a fundamental difference. We are all collectively aware that without greater collaboration, we will be unable to address the global challenges that we collectively face. Put in the simplest possible terms, if, as human beings, we do not collaborate to confront our existential challenges, in parentheses, the environment and the global governance freefall, among others. Interesting that global governance freefall is one of the issues they face.
We've really seen that over recent months.
Yeah. If we don't collaborate and face these challenges, we are doomed. Thus, we have no choice but to summon up the better angels of our nature.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Which, the angels of our nature, the better angels of our nature being the book written by Steven Pinker that argues that, there's less violence now than there is in the past. And therefore, we're actually living in an increased enlightened world and that kind of thing. So, summoning angels, and nevertheless, interesting terminology from Klaus Schwab in one of his books. And then the other book that just real briefly from... let's see, what is this? This is the Shaping the Future of the Fourth Industrial Revolution by Klaus Schwab. Again, this is another older book here. There's a whole segment on biotechnology, neurotechnology and biotechnology. And I had a quote. Oh, I think I might have actually taken a screenshot of it, so I didn't have to search around for it. Let me check real quick here because... Again, it's always interesting and important, I think, to revisit some of this stuff every once in a while just to get a feel for what Klaus was talking about back then. Oh, boy. I guess I did lose it. Bummer. Okay, well, let's see. Let me see if I can find it real quick. He talks about DNA sequencing and how we've already done DNA sequencing of different animals and we're already messing with their genetics. And so, it's only a matter of time before humans get caught up in that genetic stuff. So we need global governance to manage the risks of all that kind of stuff. So neurotechnologies, there's a whole scenario, a mythology, if you will, of, it's 2030, you're sitting in front of a screen, you're using your brain to connect to the internet, all that kind of stuff. I'm trying to find that spot. I had it all ready to go and I can't find it. Let's see how neurotechnologies work. Shoot. Scroll.
I think it's interesting how they're putting out the book review of a book that came out years ago. Of course, it is just sort of it's just part of the PR campaign, really, to try to put a positive spin on Davos because, they've kind of, I wouldn't say they've lost control of the narrative, but they are working diligently to maintain control of the narrative.
Right.
Because, ever since people caught on to kind of how creepy lizard people they are, it is not even necessarily a partisan conversation. I mean, of course, they have their own. It's a class conversation. They keep trying to make it into a culture war.
Yeah.
And we all know that culture war is the way to distract the population from the real war, which is between the classes, the elite lizard people and everybody else that they're trying to oppress and control.
I found the spot. Yeah. There's a segment in the book called The Promethean Power of Biotechnology.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Prometheus, of course, being the Greek god who stole fire from the gods and brought it to humans.
He's the light bearer.
The Greek parallel to Lucifer.
Right. Yeah. Just real briefly here, in healthcare and agriculture, biotechnology provides tools and strategies that can redefine our relationship with nature. He wants to redefine our relationship with nature with technology. Advances in digital technologies and new materials over the last 20 years have enabled forward leaps in such areas as understanding of genomes, genetic engineering, diagnostics, and pharmaceuticals alike. Like fire in ancient Greek mythology, stolen from the gods by Prometheus and given to humans, the power represented by biotechnology is sometimes portrayed as a civilizational leap for humankind. Some worry that biotechnology could antiquate the presumption of human equality on which liberal democracy depends. Biotechnology differs in 3 significant ways from other enabling technologies of the Fourth Industrial Revolution. And it just goes into how it's transformative and we must do the things that transform and not be like China. So, but yeah, just a reminder of his writings are pretty provocative. It's not conspiracy theories. Like, it's written in his own stuff. Like, it's altering humans, biotechnology, neurotechnology, a dystopia. We must avert it. So,
and
to
so
keeping
with
that
the
in
sort
mind.
of transhumanist, sort of Luciferian transcendent ideology.
Right. And so I wanted to do that first because I just wanted to get that out of the way as a context, as a backdrop to what we have here, which is PBS NewsHour. And the headline, World Economic Forum returns in Davos after pandemic pause. And we don't have to go through all of it, but it says Davos, the hub of an elite annual gathering in the Swiss Alps, is back. More than 2 years after the coronavirus pandemic kept its business gurus, political leaders, and high-minded activists away, there's no shortage of urgent issues for the World Economic Forum's annual meeting to tackle. With their lofty ambition to help improve the state of the world, forum organizers have their work cut out for them. There are soaring food and fuel prices, Russia's war in Ukraine, climate change, drought and food shortages in Africa, yawning inequality between rich and poor. Yawning. Okay. The autocratic regimes gaining ground in some places, as in against the World Economic Forum, on top of signs that the pandemic is far from over. It's hard to predict if the high-minded discussions will yield substantial announcements that make headway on the world's most pressing challenges. And then in a big screen picture of Zelensky talking, because most
the golden boy,
and the caption of his little thing here, they executed women outside the houses, and just all the horrible things taking place in Ukraine. And it goes on here, it kind of discusses all the different topics that will be addressed. So yeah, just to highlight, and again, we'll hear more, but the campaign here, the media campaign, it's quite remarkable. I have 2 New York Times articles. We won't go through all of it, but just to give you an idea, we got one headline here from New York Times. This year at Davos, a referendum on Davos itself. And I love this author here, David Gellis. Listen to this subheadline. Many values espoused by the World Economic Forum: globalization, liberalism, free market capitalism, representative democracy are under attack. Now, is the World Economic Forum really for free market capitalism? I mean, they can say they are.
It's all about definitions really at that point. But were these things that they are in favor of?
That this author is in favor of. This author here in the New York Times is saying that those things are under attack because the World Economic Forum is under attack, because the sentiment for the World Economic Forum is not good right now. I don't know if you noticed.
It doesn't sound like this. Yeah, it doesn't sound like this guy has actually read any of Klaus Schwab's work. No. It's not about free market capitalism. It's called stakeholder capitalism.
Right. And that's my kind of point here, and that's the reason why I had a couple of those quotes from early on, because a lot of these guys don't seem like they're fully read on what this guy has published.
It's just bad journalism. Yeah. It's just they just haven't read the material, and they got like a fact sheet given to them by some goon from the World Economic Forum or somebody to try to put a positive spin on it. Yeah, if people don't know what stakeholder capitalism is, and if they and they won't know if they don't read about it, because Klaus and his cronies don't really like to explain it, because when you explain it, it sounds like you're giving control of the government over to corporations, right? Which is already in sort of a practical way definitely happening as we speak, but it just sort of solidifies that concept in a more official manner. Rather, it'll be a feature, not a bug.
Right. And this particular article is all about in the context of the Russia thing, and it's interesting. There's a quote from Schwab, Klaus. He says, quote, "When we cut relations with China, I reached out, and at the same time I said, the forum is available for bridge building at any time in the future," end quote. He said, "We would like to be bridge builder." So yes, Klaus not taking he did kind of say no to Russia, but also sort of leaving that opportunity to build a bridge out there, So
is that what he's referring to? Is he referring to Russia with his bridge building?
Yes. Yes. The other article from the New York Times.
Both Zelensky and Putin were World Economic Forum
I know. Yeah, Klaus would be
young
the perfect,
global leaders.
Yeah, if Klaus was in charge, he would bring
if
them
he
both
comes
to the table.
in and brokers the peace between two of them, then he can rise to emperor of the world, and everything will go just dandy for him.
I brought peace. Here's the New York Times, another article from the New York Times, and the headline for this one: for elite, yes; ostentatious, yes, but also effective. And the subheadline: for all the criticism of the World Economic Forum's display of wealth, productive partnerships are indeed formed at Davos, participants say. So, again, understanding the sentiment out there that the World Economic Forum PR is not good right now. A lot of people saying, what is up with this organization that thinks that they can control the world? We didn't vote these people, and they're very opulent, and they show up in their private jets and stuff, and they got their psychedelic shamans this year. It's a whole thing. And most people are like, hey, why who made these people? Who put them in charge? But of course, the New York Times is going to try to defend the other side and say, there's some criticisms that are warranted, but also, the world's the movement of the world is determined by.
Well, and of course,
like
the New York Times. Who is this? This is the deputy managing editor.
Right. Was
an invited guest to the World Economic Forum.
Yes, and they do some apologetics of Gavi. It's the Bill Gates outfit.
Yes.
Yeah.
His vaccine.
Talking about how Gavi protected more than 900 million children and prevented 15 million future deaths. And all that kind of stuff. Pro, all that kind of stuff. So I thought that was interesting. And then also in the context of the Great Reset, wow, man, the headlines are coming in hard and fast. Healthcare IT News headline: The Great Digital Health Reset, and how IT leaders should plan for what's next.
There's a lot wrapped up in there. Okay.
Oh my gosh. I mean, talk about, just the whole deal.
I mean, digital health reset, that's just full on, digital ID, vaccine passports.
Yeah, that's just the whole deal.
Et cetera,
et cetera. It's, people have talked about the fears, but now we're here. And then Forbes.com, the Great Retail Reset hits the bullseye, getting back on target. It's actually about Target, the store here. But yeah,
good for them.
I know, good for them. But again, I can't tell if this is just SEO trying to muddy the Great Reset topic, because they keep using Great Reset, but they'll throw in retail, or they'll throw in digital health between it, to kind of.
Well, we identified that back in 2020 when, the Great Reset definitely started catching on in the mainstream. Of course, we found it in 2016 when they first started the branding for it. But it really caught on in the mainstream around 2020. And it's, like I said, it's not a partisan matter. It's not anything like that. You can't let the citizens, the oppressed people, the pawns of the world get too uppity about your big world domination plan. And so they even admitted that the branding wasn't great, that we did a bad job.
Right, that's right. They said that people didn't like it,
which was the same, is the same response as the Biden administration when they shut down the Disinformation Governing Board.
Right.
They said, oh, no, we just didn't explain it good enough. You just don't understand it. It's okay. We'll just shut it down for now. Same thing with the Great Reset. They came out. They said, no, you don't understand. When we say you'll own nothing and you'll be happy, it doesn't mean that. No, you just don't get it. Okay. Well, and then the second that, it was literally like the day after, the mainstream corporate news started rolling out article and sort of muddying the waters with the term the Great Reset, which you used to be able to just Google and get straight to the World Economic Forum. And now it's just they've just been flooding the zone with Great Reset, Great Retail Reset, Great Health Reset, great, just adding the words on other stuff.
Yeah.
So it's harder and harder to find the original
and the main
branding.
And the main thing they're trying to flip it over to is the Great replacement.
Of course, yes, the great replacement.
Media Matters for America, MediaMatters.org. The headline is Facebook profited from ads promoting white supremacist great replacement theory.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they made money off of it, those horrible people at Google.
Yes, Zuckerberg and
which is interesting because
it's Facebook, right?
It's Facebook.
Is Facebook and Google, or just Facebook?
No, this is just Facebook for this one.
Yeah.
Although I'm sure Google did too, but they have better PR people to twist the some of it. But what was I going to say? I was going to say something about this whole thing, but I totally lost my train of thought. Well, anyway, point being that controlling the narrative, and if you're typing in "great reset," you type in "great," type in RE. Now you're going to get great replacement first before anything else.
Yep,
So,
and that's just another aspect of controlling the information flow.
Yeah,
SEO, baby.
Mm-hmm.